we get started, appreciate everybody taking time out of their busy schedules to join us today to discuss OASIS Plus and the current on-ramp opportunity and GSA MAS. I'm Bill Schalik. I'm the president and a partner with OST Global Solutions, and I will be sharing a little bit about the OASIS Plus information and best practices. We also have with us today, graciously, Katey Grogan, who's with K&G Enterprises, the founder, one of the more sought out, nationally recognized GSA MAS, or just GSA experts in general. Please feel free to ask questions in the chat as we're going through this. We do have other participants on that will be assisting and responding to questions as possible. If you ask a great question that we don't have an answer to, we will make sure to get back to you. Also, at the conclusion of this presentation, we will provide you with copies of the slide decks for both OASIS Plus and the GSA MAS on-ramp requirements, and we are hoping that we get to spend some extra time with you. Please feel free to schedule a meeting with us so that we can continue these conversations. Oh, all right. So for the OASIS Plus presentation, I'm going to share a little bit about OST Global Solutions, information about OASIS Plus, including the pools, domains, what the on-ramp currently looks like, how to get on there successfully, and a little bit about how we're helping our existing clients get on-ramped, and also how we can help you. All right, so OST Global Solutions has been in business for over 20 years. Alessia Smatrova is our founder, and she has been doing this in industry for well over 20 years, including with large companies like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon. She is an APMP professional as well as a fellow, which is not given to everybody. It's based on her devotion and dedication to the business development world. We are small business champions. The large majority of the clientele that we work with are small business set aside, probably about 98%. For these folks, we have won $27 billion for them over the last 11 years. We're proud that we have about a 96% client satisfaction rating in the consulting world. That's challenging, and we just want to make sure that our clients are happy, and we continue to work with you. What makes us unique? We're the only company that specializes with BD consulting, our GovCon Catalyst services, which is our trademark service for helping people manage pipelines, opportunity identification, qualification, schedule management, and a whole host of other things that are associated with building a healthy pipeline of revenue. Our largest part of our business has been our capture and proposal consulting services. We offer cradle to grave professionals, everything from capture managers, proposal managers, writers, desktop publishers, graphics, cost pricing, orals coaches, and GSA MAS experts like Katey. The third part of our business is our Bid and Proposal Academy, where we offer 18 courses of training on demand, foundations through advanced capture and proposal management. We also are proud to say we are the only company the Department of Labor has certified for our business development apprenticeship training, which includes those 18 courses. These are our best practices. So OASIS Plus, what is it? In its current state, it is $60 billion worth of potential revenue, obligated funding. It has a 10-year ordering period, a 5-year base period, plus 5-year option period. There are 13 domains and 6 pools. As of the last amendment, 5 additional domains were added to make it a little more user-friendly to small businesses. At OST, we are subject matter experts with this. We were very familiar during the initial on-ramp, and as part of the data I'm going to share a little further into this presentation, we have helped or are helping over 70 companies get on board or get on-ramped. Unlike the initial on-ramp, it has now been changed so that this is a rolling on-ramp, just like GSA MAS. So GSA will be regularly accepting people, companies, and their submissions and making awards accordingly. So the real primary overall advantage of getting on OASIS Plus is based on this administration's objective of trying to get almost all GWACs and IDIQs focused and or managed by GSA or through the GSA vehicles. MAS is amazing, and that's why we're going to be discussing that in the second half of this webinar. OASIS Plus opens up a different focus for other government entities that are looking to get into more of a professional services with a little bit of an IT flavor, but not primarily. And simply stated, if you can meet the minimum requirements of OASIS Plus, which are identified within each of the scorecards for the different domains, set aside statuses, you're in. It's pretty black and white. We're very cautious with the people that we're assisting as we are developing their scorecards and or the additional documentation that's part of this upload and submission in Symphony. But we want to make sure that if you do this yourself, one, you're really cautious about not overinflating your scoring. It's really easy to drink your own bathwater and to think that you are going to get onto this schedule because your past performance, qualified projects, maybe even your certifications are a little bit more robust and or mature than they are. Typically, one of the other services we've offered is a compliance review where OST sits down with you, looks at your scoring cards, and makes sure that you're not just meeting the points that you need to get on, the average points or the base points, but exceeding that. If you can get on OASIS Plus, again, you're looking at $60 billion worth of task orders. And from our perspective, as more and more people get onto these schedules, onto GWACs and IDIQs, hopefully they're going to be able to leverage these to create relationships with the proper professionals in the government, the COs, the contract specialists, KOs, etc., so that they could get task orders that are specific to them. This administration has made many points saying that we're not going to allow sole source. That's not what we're seeing. That's still an option out there. And you doing this through these schedules really present a higher value than attempting to get in front of a CO, offering a solution and getting them just to do a sole source solicitation directly to you. All right, so let's chat about the 6 pools. So there's unrestricted, which technically, again, if you've graduated and or are outside of small business, this is the way to go. We are seeing larger companies that are doing this, and for those 70 or so companies that we've supported or are supporting, a very small percentage of them at least are working with us to get access or approved for the unrestricted pool. Total small business, 8A, woman-owned, SDV, OSB, and HubZone are definitely where most of the traffic is. I would say from our perspective, we've seen primarily total small business, 8A, and WSB. Next flavor would be SDV, OSB, and finally HubZone. Saying that in that order puts in perspective possibly what the competitive landscape is going to look like if you are bidding or competing for task orders. Again, HubZone we have not seen a lot of traffic conversation around. So if you are a HubZone company, there could be a value add there for you to get on this contract. One other really important point, and we'll kind of talk about this a little further into this presentation, is there is very little investment needed, even working with a company like OST to help you get on OASIS Plus. Not a lot of narrative, a lot of administrative work. Definitely important when you're using your qualified projects, identifying them, tagging them, and if you are having to complete JP3s and JP6 forms, making sure that the narrative is compelling and compliant and correlates to those QPs so that you're not disqualified or lose points that could result with you not getting approved for this on-ramp. Okay. So there's 13 service domains. As I mentioned earlier, there are 5 new ones that have been added. These are those domains. If by chance you have past performance in these areas, it's worth a conversation. One of the other bigger aspects that we have been offering as solutioning for our clients and or as part of this process is teaming. Everybody that has a business would probably say, I want to be a prime, I want to be a prime. And we get that. And we think there is value there. But to properly get onto a domain and make sure you don't have just the minimum points, teaming can make such a difference. And at OST, we have a teaming portal of over 200 plus clients. We, for the most part, find that the large majority of our clients are IT, professional services, and work within DoD and Health and Human Services. Saying that, we work with all companies across the private sector as well as all the different agencies and divisions within the government. So it's likely we'll have a partner that could complement you, that could assist you not only getting onto your core or targeted domain or domains, but other domains. And that's where the value add is. And that's what we've done, honestly, well over 50 times of the 70 deliveries that we've submitted. So you do want to apply where you're strong, but you also don't want to rule out other domains if there's a possibility there. Just by bringing on a partner, for example, could give you those minimum points needed to get approved. All right, so how the process works. For us, typically we meet with a client, we learn a little bit about their company, their business development capabilities. We talk about OASIS Plus, the different qualification requirements that are associated with this. And in some cases, we have clients that are coming to us that have already started the process, as I mentioned earlier. In other cases, we have people that haven't really even put a toe in the pool yet. They haven't started, they want to, they're not sure if they could do this. Well, our initial conversation typically helps us and or them figure out if this is a good opportunity for them to move forward. For those people that, again, that have done their scorecard and or are in process, we do have alternative solutioning that could help you ensure your scorecard is solid and it's going to meet the requirements that you need to get approved, or if there are other domains that you may be able to work in or on. So scorecard's number one. After we've met with somebody, we provide them with a work authorization that'll include our scope, our assumptions, deliverables, and then the estimated hours. We are, or have been, doing this T&M. We're about to offer a fixed firm price solution for multiple pools and multiple domains. Please schedule a meeting if you'd like to learn more about this. It is a very low investment, especially compared to normal size solicitations. So once we've gotten through the scorecard process, then we start putting together the full application, which is everything from the past performance, certifications, and then again, those draft narratives. There's a whole bunch more that's involved in this process, depending on the set-aside status, the domains, how many domains you're going after. For the record, it should be noted that under normal pretenses, we find that the past performance, the documentation we're completing or for one domain does convey to other domains or pools. So if you decide you want to go after multiple pools and domains, it's not a one-for-one for investment of time or money if you're using a third-party company like OST Global Solutions. Once we've worked with you and followed our typical best practices, which would be integrating color team reviews, pink team at 60% with recovery, red team at 90% with recovery, and then gold team, we will upload all of the information within the GSA Symphony portal. We can also help you get access to that as well. In most cases, we like for our clients to participate with this process so they could see it and make sure that it's getting done as fit. We don't want you to lose sleep worrying if it was submitted correctly. To date, we've had no issues with this. It's been quite simple, and we do have the ability to do this for you as part of a turnkey solution. After you've been submitted, the GSA receives your paperwork. So we're hearing that awards are going to be coming out for the most recent phase of this on-ramp. Though again, rolling, it did start approximately 2 to 2.5 months ago. Our best estimate is that you're going to see decisions being made within 2.5 to 3 months on average. The sooner you get in there, the quicker you can start bidding task orders. You can start working with your government point of contacts to hopefully get some task orders that align specifically with your capabilities and past performance and start generating revenue. So I think more important than anything, starting with that scorecard is critical. It only takes typically us a few hours at a minimum to get a idea if you're eligible. In most cases, we do this through just conversation, but once we dive into your paperwork, that allows us to start scoring you correctly and figuring out if you can work within other domains or pools for that matter. So when doing the scorecard, there are a number of different things that we are focusing on. Your qualified projects, past performance are critical. There's nothing more critical. There are minimum revenue requirements, the time that you've been supporting the contracts and when you generated the revenue. And we have to be able to basically, simply stated, show receipts for the past performance, for the revenue you've generated. It's pretty black and white, but very critical. Next, certifications. Pretty important, going to give you those extra points that you need to get above the minimum, depending on the domain, pool, etc. And then the contract types and customer mix, it's part of relevant experience. So sure, we're going to put an emphasis on that, and you should put an emphasis on that. And then ultimately the accounting and the purchasing, the DCA compliance, CMMI, et cetera, CMMC, some of those certifications will grant you extra points. But there's one thing that we're going to emphasize with you if we're working with you, or hopefully you take away as a result of this webinar. If you cannot prove that your past performance, qualified projects, or your revenue or certifications exist, you should not claim it. Obviously, there are plenty of FLAR clauses that make that illegal, but at the same time, there are creative ways that would legally allow you to still claim some of these things if they're in process. All right. So top 5 mistakes that at least we're seeing and hearing is claiming or identifying domains that you just can't substantiate. You have to have those 3+ strong projects or a teaming partner that can help you have those 3+ strong projects and have the appropriate QPs and capabilities, qualified projects, for those of you that are new to the QP reference. Missing past performance or not having the appropriate CPARs or JP6s in place of those CPARs are critical. A lot of questions that we've received is, I don't have a CPAR. Well, then we can do a JP6. And ultimately, if you are sub to a prime, as long as you have a good relationship with that prime, they could complete that. If you're working directly with the government, they would be the one that would have to finalize that document. Auditing and making sure that your certs are active before submission are critical. And then honestly, I think the biggest thing is the self-scoring component. Out of those 70 clients, great clients, I'd probably say safely there's at least a quarter of them or more that had either higher or lower scores than they should have. And most are on the higher end. They think they're just stronger than they are. And once you start auditing, looking at the qualified projects, tagging them, looking at the CPARs, which by the way have to be satisfactory or better, preferably better, it could definitely result with a negative outcome, or potentially you assuming you couldn't get approved for this on-ramp. So having a third party, regardless if it's OST or otherwise, looking at your scorecard is beneficial. And then finally, making sure you do a correct upload in Sympathy is also critical. We did hear of certain clients that did their submissions. And as a result, they walked away thinking that it was submitted and found out it wasn't. The really good news, and I think this may be in a slide or two shortly, is where on the first on ramp, if you had a failing submission, it was questionable if you could resubmit. Now you can, but hopefully that won't be an issue. So what we're finding on average, and I think this is industry alike, typically these submissions are occurring between 1 to 8 weeks. And I think closer to the 5 to 8 week mark is a safe bet for submitting multiple pools and multiple domains. Ultimately, our clients, every single one of them, like yourselves, have a company to run. They have other assignments and responsibilities. And as such, there could be delays getting things completed sooner than later. On average, again, we're 5 to 8 weeks. We try to take into consideration what the workload looks like for our clients and try to keep them on schedule, but we also respect that other things are going on in your world, and you can't just drop those to make sure that everything is completed so that you can finish this process in 3 to 4 weeks versus 8 weeks. Also, if you don't have your certifications in place, you're probably looking at up to 6 months extra to get that finalized, approved, even if there are self-assessments that have to be completed. We do assist our clients with this process. In addition, we have clients that help make sure you're DCA compliant, get that certification or ISO and any other certs that may be necessary to have a winning submission. So where OST is going to offer you the most value, it's going to be either from a compliance standpoint, even if it's just a scorecard review, or a full turnkey solution, which is that scorecard assessment, full documentation completion, and uploading your submission so that you can get approved. Out of the 70 plus clients that we are working, again, we've submitted over 60, and to date, 2 of them did not get approved. And unfortunately, and this was something I mentioned in our earlier webinars for OASIS Plus, one of them did not have their SAM.gov registration up to date. And the second really good client chose a CO, we'll just say that's not very fond of them and did not help in any way, shape, or form. We sort of avoidable, but these things do happen. So as I've mentioned throughout, we have over 60 plus awards, 98% win rate when it comes to OASIS Plus. In our opinion, this is a lot simpler than getting or submitting for a very large IDIQ where sections L and M or the scope could have different interpretations. Under normal pretenses, OST, excuse me, not OASIS Plus. OST wins about 85% of the time when we are helping our clients as capture or proposal managers. We're pretty agile. Being a small woman-owned business ourselves who has scaled significantly in the last 5 years, we know the challenge of making the right investment and getting the right return on investment. And in the end, we want you to be happy. We want all our clients to be happy. Consulting is tough, but we go out of our way to do this. So we are available. And if I was to give you the best advice and guidance going forward, even if you wanted to do this yourself without a third party or use another company, you really need to assess your eligibility. That scorecard is critical. I know I'm a broken record with this, but there's nothing more that clearly confirms your chances of getting onto OASIS Plus. Mapping and tagging your qualified projects and your past performance, really critical as part of that scorecard assessment. Certifications do come next, and then identifying if you can create a team that supports you getting on additional domains and working, or pools for that matter. And then consider if you're even doing this yourself, you're looking at probably close to a couple of months to get everything finished. Not so much because of the hours that are needed, just based on the administrative burden of this work. I think on average we're seeing 40 to 45 hours of support to deliver a winning submission. So, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to send you our slide deck, and you'll also get the GSA MAS slide deck. Please feel free to go to the OST Global Solutions website to book time with me. You can use the QR code that's on your screen right now, and we can discuss readiness assessments or figuring out where else we might be able to assist you. Business development is complicated. For those of you that are on this call that do business development, you know it's dog years. Every 1 year of BD is 7 years of life. It's tough, challenging. All our clients that come to us have challenges, regardless if it's with the support, winning, identifying proposals. And I would love the opportunity to meet with you and sort of learn more about your company and see if we can help you, even if it's just by providing professional guidance that helps you grow your business. We are small business champions, and it would be very difficult for us as a small business not to have that as one of our objectives. There will be links in the slide deck to our teaming portal. Please feel free to take 10 minutes to add the information that's requested. If you do this, we will offer teaming solutions at no charge to you. You're welcome to call us, ask us for a partner, let us know what you need based on their set-aside status, capability, past performance, geographic location, facility clearance. If we have somebody that aligns culturally, and there are definitely those synergies, we'll make those introductions. If somebody reaches out to us and they're looking for something your company does, we will do the same. We'll give you a courtesy call and get your permission, and then we'll make introductions. If you are not part of our newsletter, please join. We send out 2 newsletters a week on average, and the goal is to identify good or strong solicitations that really align with the clientele and the prospects we're talking with. For the most part, you'll see a lot of them that are, if not all of them, that are in the IT and professional services world. We also have links to our blogs and other newsletters. Please feel free, to review those if they could be of any benefit. Thank you for your time. I've enjoyed presenting this. I hope it was helpful. And with that, I'd like to turn this over to Ms. Katey Grogan for her GSA MAS presentation. Katey?
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen while I'm talking a little bit. I'm Katey Grogan. I've worked with Bill for many years now. My company has been in existence since 2014, and we have a team of about 10 of us who just focus solely on the GSA MAS contract. So I'm going to, let me share this with you all. Okay. So thank you for taking the time, and you can connect with us through OST. As I said, we have been working with them for many years. We work very closely, and if you're working with OST on OASIS or any proposal support, it makes our job even easier to help you get the schedule. So can you see, Bill, my slides?
I can, but they look like they are also not presenting directly. Okay. Sophia, are you seeing that as well? Sorry.
Yeah,
we're using a new format. Thank you. I also, not to steal Katey's thunder, I do want everybody to know we have worked together for a long time. She is amazing. And she's very humble, 100% win rate getting on GSA MAS, amongst other things. Her and her team are so easy to work with. Right now, OST through Katey, with Katey, are supporting close to 18 clients. We offer different solutions to get on MAS, and I'll defer to Katey to share a little bit more about this. Thanks, Katey.
No problem. So MAS, the MAS contract is a little bit different than OASIS because the foundation is that MAS is based on commercial products and services, and the requirements to on-ramp onto MAS are generally a bit easier than they would be for OASIS. So it makes sense for businesses of all sizes, but especially new businesses who are interested in entering the federal market. And generally what we're seeing now, frankly, is the government's releasing RFIs and sources sought across both MAS and OASIS Plus, and using that feedback to determine which vehicle these opportunities will be posted on. So it's a good idea to have access to both. In some cases, the MAS contract has less competition based on different categories, and that might be why a buyer tends to use that. However, if for more complex ordering, OASIS Plus is often preferred because it allows for cost plus type contracts. So generally, that's just two major differences. But I'm going to go through the GSA schedule, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I recognize some names on here, so if we're too foundational, feel free to put a question in the chat, and I can answer anything GSA related. And so we're going to talk a little bit about, why companies use this schedule. I would say a large majority of companies often come to us when one of their customers is saying, do you have a GSA MAS contract? And then that begins the startup process to pursue it. And in other cases, companies just recognize the importance of having a vehicle. The GSA MAS is, I always say, it's like a hunting license. It gives you permission to work with the government. It doesn't obviously give you any work, but it is a 20-year $0 contract. Each option period is 5 years. And as long as you use the GSA schedule to basically invoice GSA related customers $100,000 in the first 5 years and $125,000 every 5 years thereafter, you can maintain your MAS contract. One of the other major benefits to MAS is that state, local, and even educational institutions can use the GSA schedule to purchase from you. So it's expanded beyond just federal government purchasing. And GSA has, for products, a web-based online website, GSA Advantage, where customers can click and buy and add to cart, and they're constantly making updates to that. And then for services, they do have a really great team that helps your customers use the schedule to purchase your services. So there's really good support with MAS. It's been around for a long time, and for both you and your customer as you're pursuing it. So any company, technically, as long as you offer commercial products or services, can apply for a MAS contract. Generally, GSA likes you to be in business for at least 2 years so that you have 2 years of completed company financials. There are some other programs for companies that have less than 2 years of experience. They have a startup springboard program, and that's for you and JVs for new companies and joint ventures. But there's still a level of needing to represent, the intention of working with the government. But there is an option and an avenue for companies with less than 2 years of experience, and we're always happy to talk to you if that is you and help you kind of make that decision. The major requirements for GSA MAS, they look at your past performance, what type of commercial contracts you've had, what type of federal contracts you've had, if applicable. Obviously, having a SAM account is important, which probably most of you do if you're here already. And GSA, as I said, it's based on commercial practices. So they like to see that you have some kind of commercial pricing standard already established so that you're invoicing for services based on labor category, hours, or a fixed price solution, or with the products that you have established a commercial market price. And then GSA uses those rates to negotiate their discount off of that. And if if you're interested in pursuing the schedule and you don't normally invoice based on labor category, again, there are a lot of flexibilities in MAS. It is not as you either have the points or you don't as OASIS. With MAS, there's definitely more of a narrative of writing and explaining who the company is and what your past performance is, and that even goes along to the pricing. So if you haven't been invoicing based on labor category hour, that doesn't mean you don't qualify. It just means we have to help you kind of learn how to express that to GSA. And one of the biggest changes with GSA MAS that's happened in the past year, and there have been many, I would say, and anyone who's been in government contracting for a while probably remembers the days that GSA always wanted to negotiate the best price. And a new change is a program called the Transactional Data Reporting Program. And when GSA expanded that to all categories, part of the trade-off for you giving GSA more data is that you no longer have to disclose your most favored customer or the best price. So you do not have to guarantee to give GSA the best price for your products and services anymore. And that's really important because that was very prohibitive for small businesses. There was audits, there was a lot of risk involved with giving GSA the best price, and you no longer have to do that. So they are working to make the MAS contract more aligned with how the commercial market purchases. And I would say the risks are, much lower than they have been historically because that clause has been removed. So that's one major change that's happened. The other, I think major topic to be aware of with GSA MAS is understanding the SINs. So OASIS has domains, they're broader, larger categories, where GSA MAS has what they call special item numbers or SINs. Sometimes they're the same as a NAICS and sometimes they're a little bit different. But generally, if you search for your NAICS in the GSA eLibrary website, you can find the SINs that are relevant to you. And unlike OASIS, where you generally need at least probably 4 to 5 projects of past performance per domain, with MAS, you only need 1 or 2 depending on the SIN that you're applying for. So the requirements are just a bit easier. And throughout the life of the 20 years of the contract, you have the ability to add additional SINs. So if you're, an IT professional services company today, and in 5 years you start selling products or software, or you develop a software program, you can always add that onto your current contract. You don't have to go get a new one. So it's very much built to grow with you as a business as you phase and grow in the government marketplace. So the GSA application process, the way that, we generally work with our clients through OST, we set up a kickoff call with you and we go through the list of documents we need from you. We don't expect you to do much reading or writing outside of sending us the documents that we need. Your previous contracts, your invoices, your company financials, general information about the business. We know what GSA is looking for when it comes to all the different parts of the proposal. So we prefer to draft them and say, are you good with this? Do you agree with this? And you build that into your internal practices. So we do a kickoff call, get the list of items, and then we like to have a weekly check-in call to keep things on track. And generally, we have all of our offers submitted within 30 days. And then from that point, there's a lot of back and forth that goes on with GSA. Depending on the SINs that you apply for will dictate the time. And it's generally anywhere between 120 days up, depending on who it gets assigned to. But the only things we need from you are really sending us documentations and taking the time to review with us and agree to the documentation. But we really do handle all of the back and forth with GSA, the negotiations, the clarifications. We keep you involved. We don't make any decisions, obviously, without your approval, but we really try to be very hands-on from start to finish. And then once your contract is awarded, we don't leave you hanging. We teach you about the different websites that you have to navigate with GSA, who the different points of contact are, what to expect, how to support your proposals as you're beginning to work with the GSA contract. So we really do try to make this full life cycle. We very much value our relationships with GSA. During, in the past year, we've been able to hire some contracting officers from GSA to work on our team. So maintaining that relationship is incredibly important. And, that is something we always value. And it is definitely helps us be successful by having those relationships. And I kind of went through some of the documents that are typically required. It's not all that different than what is required for OASIS. It's just streamed down a bit. So if you don't, and with MAS, you usually have exceptions. So if you don't have CPARs, you can get a past performance questionnaire. If you don't have federal prime contracts, you can use subcontractor work or commercial contracts to earn you the credit with GSA MAS for the proposal. But it's generally for us to kind of do the work for you, hopefully a very seamless process and not a huge amount of documentation required. For pricing, right now, we're kind of in this mixed time of, like I said, the new program, transactional data reporting and commercial sales practices. We're definitely, there's a 50-50 split of companies that are within each pool, but moving forward, fortunately, you won't have to adhere to the price reduction clause anymore if you're a new company getting on MAS. If you're a current company who has MAS and you opted into TDR, you're still responsible for maintaining that until the effective date of the TDR into your contract. You also have to keep in mind any products sold, and really services as well, has to be in compliance with the Trade Agreement Act. So the country of origin for the products has to be the United States or a country that is in compliance with Trade Agreement Act. And for the labor categories and services that you're selling, you have a lot of flexibility because you get to write the labor category titles, the descriptions, the years of experience, and the educational requirements. So you're not beholden to a set list of labor categories. If anyone has 8A stars, on stars, there's a long list that you have. With MAS, you get to create the list based on what your business practice currently is. So you do have more flexibility within the trade agreements. And GSA, the timeline, as I said, it really depends who it gets assigned to. IT offers right now, they've been turning them around in like 90 to 120 days, where professional services are much longer. They can go on for months. But what we are finding with MAS, I think it's really important to be prepared for when they start working on the contracts now. They do expect a very short turnaround and response time. And some of them will send us an email at 10 a.m. and expect a response to negotiations and clarifications by the end of the business day. And I think that's where we can be most helpful with our clients, because we generally have worked through all of those responses prior to even submitting your offer. So we're ready and prepared to respond as they need it. But they are very busy. There's a lot of changes happening behind the scenes, and they do expect a very quick turnaround and response time from you as industry when we submit the proposal. And then once the contract is awarded, we will explain to you how to use all the systems and tools. You will receive access to GSA eBuy, which is the website where the larger RFPs come out. If you have products, we'll teach you about GSA Advantage and accepting purchase orders through that system. And we'll teach you about how your pricing will be viewed publicly and how your competitors see that, and give you strategies for doing pricing at the time of proposal, and make sure that you know how to use all the websites. The one thing with GSA, there's a lot of websites, and some of them can be quite confusing. So it's really important to us that you know what to do, how to access it, how to manage it, and that you can be self-sufficient if you want to. And if you don't, we'll happily continue to support you. But our goal is that you fully understand all the different aspects of managing the GSA contract. And once your contract is in place, I really don't think the requirements are incredibly difficult. Once your pricing is where you want it to be and your price list is there, you just have to be monitoring the opportunities in eBuy. And why eBuy is successful is because only companies that have those awarded SINs can see the RFPs, RFIs, sources sought, and market research that are being posted under those SINs. So it's a smaller pool of competition. You do have to stay on top of it because you want to be active and responding. But as long as you're actively putting in the effort to respond to the RFPs, you're filing your sales report, which now is going to be monthly. You're keeping your SAM information updated, and you're signing modifications as they become available. The GSA contract should not be too cumbersome to handle once everything is set up correctly. And then post-award, once your contract is awarded, as I explained, you can always add labor categories, remove labor categories, change pricing, add SINs, add products, add points of contact. So as many of the clients we work with OST and internally, throughout the 20 years, you're most likely going to want to update some information on your contract. So most of our clients always come back to us for some level of support, whether it's on an annual basis or, every other year, sometimes twice a year, to say, we need to add some things to our contract. Can you help us? And this is exactly what we do. And then the sales reporting requirements, GSA, as I explained earlier, you don't have to guarantee to give GSA the best price. GSA is very much leaning into AI and data and using that data efficiently. So the most efficient way is to have, frankly, the vendors give them the data. So on a monthly basis, you are reporting to GSA per line item what you've invoiced to your GSA customers. So whether that's by labor hour, by quantity of product, you now will go into the GSA reporting system on a monthly basis and say, I invoice CDC for 10 hours of a program manager for this contract number, and GSA is beginning to collect that data and use that to negotiate for their pricing moving forward. So having your pricing correct on GSA MAS is more important than ever, because GSA will be monitoring the sales data that you are giving to them, where previously they didn't necessarily have access to that on a monthly basis. So this is a new change. We're still, kind of learning the ways in which they're using this data to negotiate, but that is definitely the plan, to build up GSA's data set on both products and services and understand exactly what the government is paying for every single line item that they're purchasing. So that is your requirement as a contractor who has the contract, is to give them that data on a monthly basis. The risk for a MAS, I would say, again, is kind of lower than it's ever been. The audits that were happening because you previously had to guarantee to give GSA the best price, that's no longer the case. But GSA does do what they call IOA or CAV visits, where a GSA representative either comes to your office or virtually logs on and reviews with you what you've been reporting to GSA. And it's less of an audit, and I'd say, especially initially in the first few years of your contract, more of like they're there to help you to make sure that you're filing your reports correctly, that you're responding to the RFPs correctly, that you're documenting your GSA rates correctly when you're at the proposal level. They definitely want to make sure, if you say a program manager has a bachelor's degree and 10 years of experience, that the person performing that work actually does. And they also really want to understand TAA compliance and how you're monitoring that and managing it. And I would say it's more, it leans more government than commercial practices, but at this point it's been very helpful so that you can avoid any issues on an annual basis by meeting with them, having them review and give you feedback. And then once you have your GSA contract, I think the biggest thing that companies forget really is the amount of time that you do need to dedicate to responding to RFIs and sources sought and proposals. And I think this is where OST can come in and support, but you want to be prepared to start writing proposals once your GSA MAS contract is awarded, because that's the only way you're going to win work. GSA certainly does not prohibit you from bringing your current customers to using your MAS contract. In fact, they'll even often support them and help them if they were using a different vehicle. But you need to be able to set aside the time to write the proposals and kind of build out a strategy to use the MAS contract. And obviously training your internal people on how to handle the reporting, to make sure proposals are done correctly, to make sure your reporting's done correctly, that everything's well documented. You will be successful if everything is set up from the beginning, documented, and all in one place. And that's something we will definitely help you with. Challenges with GSA, there was a time before, 5 years ago, if you didn't have any sales in your contract, you could push back a little bit and say, well, we're in BD with this, we're trying, we're doing this, we're doing this. That is different now, because if you don't have sales, they're canceling the contracts is the bottom line. The government is trying to save money and looking in places that they can. And that is 100% most contracts will get canceled if after the first 5 years they haven't had any sales, or after at any 5-year period when your option comes up, it may not be exercised if you don't have work. So doing that is incredibly important. One of the benefits of MAS that I think most small businesses can leverage is the opportunity to propose as a CTA. So GSA MAS specifically on this vehicle allows two businesses of the same business size, if it's a set aside, to come together and essentially submit a proposal as if you're both a prime. You both are going to be reporting the GSA sales on it. You're both able to talk to the contracting officer about the opportunity. You're really working together to act as as a prime to give the government a full solution. So that's the best way you can start getting your GSA sales, I think, is if you really partner with other companies and work together to submit a proposal. And the requirements for joint ventures have been changing a lot within GSA. So their goal is definitely clearly to support CTAs more than wanting joint ventures on the contract. So thinking about how you can leverage that is, I think, very important. That CTA that's specific for MAS can be incredibly important. And then just in general, the benefits, as I said, we really do help you navigate this process. We communicate with CTAs, a contractor teaming agreement or arrangement. In this case, there's an agreement that you will send into the customer that says company A and B are working together. These are the parts that company A is doing. These are the parts that B is doing. And you both can get credit, and you'll file those in your sales report so that GSA knows that you're actually getting your GSA sales. And I guess these are some of the areas that we are definitely helpful in working with you on. We understand because we're communicating with GSA every day throughout all these different offices, we do understand the trends and how they're purchasing. We understand how, why is GSA making certain changes? What are they doing? What are they moving towards? We have such a history with GSA, and we're always working together with them to try to make this whole process easier for industry. And we're aware of certain things like this that you otherwise may not know about unless you're kind of deep into reading GSA's websites. So we're always available to pretty much answer any question about MAS because we know what they're looking for. So, GSA is incredibly valuable. I think having a consultant is incredibly helpful, especially as the FAR is being updated, the GSA MAS terms are changing much faster than they were historically. And we're just aware of trends and what GSA is expecting from a proposal standpoint. So whether that's kind of us giving you full service support or just helping you from a consulting perspective prior to submitting, I do recommend having someone who knows this process to review it, because GSA, while they're making a good faith effort of trying to make this, I'd say, as standard and clean and clear as possible, it's still quite confusing when you review their solicitation versus their websites and trying to figure out how exactly they want all of this information presented. So you don't want to deal with a rejection, because it does take a long time to get the offer uploaded and prepared. And every time an offer is rejected, you have to explain to GSA why it was rejected and why you're correcting it and what you're correcting. So the goal is definitely to avoid a rejection from the beginning. It helps with the speed. And that's exactly what we're here to do. So if anyone has any questions, we're at the end, but I'm happy to answer them.
Thanks, Katey. Awesome presentation. I also just want to share, honestly, I've been, again, working with Katey for years. Every time we need to get in contact with somebody at GSA, I'm always like, she's finally not going to know this person. And she does. She knows everybody. Like, seriously, I don't even know how it's possible. So thank you again, Katey. Really helpful. I think there are a few questions that may be in the Q&A. I'm not sure if we were able to, or if you're able to respond to those now.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. And it looks like about 12 minutes ago from Indranil we have a mass question about the GSA mass schedule, SIN 54151S, but they're not on 541611. Their schedule already has labor categories that are applicable for 611.
Mm-hmm.
They are asking, is there a way to add the SIN? And I already know that answer, but I'm going to let the expert respond.
You can easily add the SIN as long as you have past performance that's relevant to that SIN. You need to have past performance if it's a the work either needs to be completed in the past 2 years or ongoing with at least the base period completed. You can use the same set of labor categories, but GSA, their IT requirements have been changing quite a bit, and they like you to have one set for IT services and one set for professional services. So even if it's duplicated, you're going to add IT in front of the IT, and you're going to add IT into the description, so that IT labor descriptions are going to be relevant specifically to that SIN, and the labor categories for 541611 will be different. So there's a few different ways we can work through that, but especially if your contract is based out of the IT office, they're going to want to see a separate set of SINs for 611. However, they can be duplicated just with the descriptions updated, so the titles can stay the same. So we can definitely talk to you about that, but there's not necessarily a quicker way to add that SIN because you have the labor categories, but it's going through a mod process to add them. And I'm happy to talk you through that.
Wonderful. And what I'm going to do, if it's okay with you, Katey, I'm going to bounce between MAS, OASIS. We'll go back and forth. Lakshmi, you asked a great question. How does teaming work? What is the capability? Can a teaming partner bring? What can they bring that's acceptable? First and foremost, you want to make sure that you have either a JV or a CTA in place, similar to what Katey was mentioning earlier. And yes, you can use their past performance. There are some different variables about using that or their certifications. Truthfully, it's very specific to each relationship and based on the domains. So if you would like, please feel free to schedule some time with me, and I'd be more than willing to go over with you these requirements. All right. And then Katey, looks like the next question for you is I have from Stacy. I don't know if you've seen that one. At approximately 16 minutes ago.
Okay.
Instead of me reading this whole thing, it's really good. I just don't want to butcher it. So
yes, I'll put my email address in the chat, and if you want to send me an email, I can send you a point of contact and the website that the customer can use to help them. They are definitely there's some good resources within GSA that will help your customers walk through if they do want to use the vehicle to make a purchase. So I will definitely put that in the chat, and if you want to reach out, it's kind of location based, so depending on where that customer is, we can put them in contact.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. And then it looks like Indranil had another good question for OASIS Plus regarding past before contract use, different NAICS codes. Long story short is there are ways to align the task support delivery that are affiliated with another NAICS code. You can actually get approval for NAICS codes that are outside of the current scope. That's also a separate discussion. Please feel free, if you can, to schedule some time with me. All right, let me just make sure that we're covering everything else.
There was one more from Rebecca just saying that the process isn't clear. I mean, it's not if you're not used to doing it. GSA has been saying that it is easy, follow the mod instructions, but it can be quite complicated. And I would say reach out. We're happy to help you, or can provide, kind of point you in the direction of some instructional guidance if you want to do it yourself. Your contracting specialist in theory should also help, but they're very overwhelmed right now. And so I would say just be patient as if you are asking them for support in a modification process.
So thank you for covering that. And I think we might have had one more also from Sylvia regarding the time of awarding for MAS after submission. She said she's noticing longer times than usual. Is there a specific reason?
Yeah. So anyone who had a commercial sales practices based offer in recently had to withdraw and resubmit. That's one major reason. TDR is a new while it's been a pilot for a long time, it's new to many contracting officers who aren't used to using it. There's also a whole new, if for all of the companies who currently have a contract, they have to do a new baseline modification to update their catalog. They have to do an EPA mod to update to the latest terms and conditions. And the contracting specialists, especially, are just overwhelmed. So, I always have said 6 to 12 months to be safe. Again, it's who it gets assigned to. And we're definitely
Right.
seeing it closer to like the 120-day side. And I will also say it has to do with like the proposal that was submitted and the quality. And every time GSA has to reject, they have to give you a detailed letter that explains all of the reasons why your offer was rejected. And frankly, that's time consuming. So while GSA right now is very busy with current contractors and all these things to maintain it, they also have to review new offers. So it is taking longer than usual. And even mods can be taking longer than usual, but generally I think they're all kind of doing their best to try to get these things awarded, but there's definitely deadlines for some mandatory current contract holders right now.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think something else to share, again, not to focus too much on this administration, but because of their comments, and everybody is really trying to get on to MAS and other schedules and GUACs so that they can continue doing business as normal. So there's an influx. There was a lot of people that took early buyouts, were let go, et cetera. So that was a part of the challenge. So
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Katey, thank you so much.
Thank
Really
you.
awesome presentation as always. I appreciate everybody's time and looking forward to hopefully continuing these conversations. And at a minimum, I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their week and look forward to
Thank
potentially
you.
reconnecting. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.